financially mostly, from what I see. 'Cause, it's all about, everyone wants to be a big shot, but they gotta pay the price. They have to know how to handle defeat.
If I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Into that.
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a...
Mike Tyson isn't pulling any punches when it comes to Jake Paul's shocking claim that he could take down Gervonta Tank Davis, the former heavyweight king, famous not just for his knockouts but for his raw, unfiltered honesty. Tore straight into Paul after the YouTuber-turned-fighter dared to say he could beat one of the most feared names in the sport. Tyson, who's walked a fine line of backing and blasting Jake's rise, made it crystal clear. Sharing the ring with a pound-for-pound monster like Davis is no game. And with that signature bite in his words, he reminded Jake of one brutal truth. The distance between internet fame and true boxing greatness is a canyon not easily crossed.
Surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it? Yeah.
The matchup between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis is scheduled for November 14th at the Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida. It was initially to be held in Atlanta, but was moved after concerns from the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission over how large the weight difference is between the two fighters.
Oh my days. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Is this real? This can't be real. Because he was talking about fighting Joshua, which is heavyweight. And now he's saying about fighting Tank. Nah, this can't be. It's Netflix as well. I need to go and do some checks and see if like the main pages have posted this. But Jake Paul's posted it. It says Friday, November 14th. It's in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. This is right.
The clash between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis is now locked in for November 14th, set under the bright lights of the Casa Center in Miami, Florida. Originally, the fight was supposed to go down in Atlanta, but plans shifted after the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission raised serious red flags about one thing: the massive weight gap between these two men stepping into the ring.
Fucking insecure. Kind of lost myself in the whole entertainment world, and so when I found boxing, it gave me that like routine, that discipline. I got to like take time for myself in these boxing camps, and every day for training I had to like meditate. And boxing gave me the ability to like reflect on myself and like realizing who I was and who I wanted to be, and that helped me mature. You get addicted to that validation from others, and that's something that I realized that I had to face. And like, why do so many people want clout? I'm not good enough. I need followers. I need likes. It's driving a lot of our generation because they're working so hard to get this external.
Jake Paul steps into this fight carrying a record of 12 victories, 7 of them ending in knockouts, with just one defeat on his slate. What started as internet stardom quickly transformed into a full-blown boxing career, as Paul used his influence of fame to fuel blockbuster crossover bouts and ambitious business moves that kept his name echoing far beyond the ring.
25 is at the next year. I'm out of it.
After our second fight. You're out of it?
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that?
Out of the sport.
After our second fight. Nah, no, I'm gonna win, bro.
Nah, I could tell you my fights.
Who do you think will win between Jake Paul and Gervonta?
But I don't know. It should be Gervonta, right? But the weight size and everything, we'll see. It's a fun entertainment.
Gervonta Davis walks in with an untouchable record: 30 wins, a single draw, and a trail of brutal knockouts that made him a champion feared across divisions. He holds the WBA lightweight crown, Yet that belt won't be up for grabs this time, all because of the huge size gap between him and Jake Paul. Instead, the showdown is being billed as an exhibition, a fight where the usual rules, rounds, weight limits, even regulatory restrictions, become looser, bending and shifting depending on which commission decides to give it the green light.
This is probably the greatest fighter around now, but he's got a tough fight coming up. You know, he's the top dog, there's no doubt about it. He showed that, but Barrios, he's a pretty good fighter. Last time I saw him fight, he was pretty durable.
Mike Tyson, who has already stood across the ring from Jake Paul, is now urging caution as Paul edges closer to a clash with Gervonta Davis. Tyson knows the pressure, the chaos, and the raw intensity that comes with fighting Paul, but he also understands the very real danger of stepping in against a fighter as lethal as Davis. Yes, Paul carries youth and size as his weapons, but Tyson points to Tank's blistering speed, razor-sharp technique, and bone-crushing power as equalizers that erase any advantage. His words aren't just analysis, they are warning, a reminder that Paul might be underestimating just how deadly Davis can be. For Tyson, the hype may fill arenas and headlines, but he makes it clear, Jake's chasing glory, but the price could be his body, his future, maybe even his legacy.
Fight Jake Paul in November, and then we'll see what happens if there's an AJ fight. Be interested to go from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua, but I don't think the Chavez fight is terrible. I think it's a smart bit of business. I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight. But I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Eddie Hearn isn't hiding his worries about Jake Paul's showdown with Gervonta Davis, calling it something far more dangerous than just another spectacle. He warns this fight tilts unevenly when it comes to size, risk, and pure safety, and that Paul could walk away not just defeated, but physically damaged. Yes, the money is massive, and yes, the hype is undeniable, but Hearn believes the danger outweighs the payoff. He points out that a beating here could derail Paul's bigger ambitions, including a potential clash with Anthony Joshua. To Hearn, the commercial draw is huge, but sometimes the threat is too real to ignore. He may rate the outcome as a coin flip, but beneath that assessment his warning cuts deep. For Jake Paul, this fight isn't just about wins and losses, it's about his health, his future, maybe even his very well-being.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just, everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced.
Froch, the former super middleweight world champion, has sounded the alarm over Jake Paul's exhibition with Gervonta Davis, pointing straight to the staggering 65-pound gulf separating them. Froch highlights that Paul has been fighting close to the cruiserweight mark, around 200 pounds, while Davis, a natural lightweight, operates near 135. To Froch, that kind of disparity isn't just unusual, it's dangerous.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proved time and time again that he's not a professional fighter, so Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
Froch argued that in a true professional setting, this fight would never even get licensed. The danger is simply too great. He stresses that Davis has never stood against someone carrying the size and mass of Jake Paul, and the threat is real. One heavy shot, especially a wild swing or looping punch from Paul, could cause serious, lasting damage.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think, but
The AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in, and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe.
Froch admits that Davis has the skill set, the footwork, and the rhythm to control stretches of the fight, but he questions whether Davis carries the kind of power needed to truly hurt a man Jake Paul's size. And that's where the danger lies. In Froch's eyes, the unnatural weight advantage Paul brings into the ring makes this matchup far more hazardous than it might appear on the surface.
The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay, so there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite. He could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14.
Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen sees things differently, brushing off the idea that Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis is the disaster many claim it to be. On his YouTube channel, he told fans, "Asterisk, it's not as bad a fight as you guys think." Asterisk drawing a sharp line between this matchup and the once-rumored Paul versus Anthony Joshua clash. But Sonnen did single out one glaring weakness, Davis himself. In his view, Tank doesn't know how to sell a fight. Whether it's a championship bout or a main event, Sonnen argues Davis struggles to build hype, and that lack of promotional fire could make this spectacle fall flat outside the ring.
If he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer. And you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever. Knock him out with one punch like that. Like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like...
Joe Rogan has stood firmly in Jake Paul's corner, defending his legitimacy inside the ring and insisting that most of the criticism stems not from Paul's actual fighting, but from his celebrity roots. Rogan notes how Paul has consistently shown sharp technique, genuine power, and a clean, effective offense. Nothing about his performances so far looking fake or manufactured. And as time passes, Rogan believes the tide is turning, with even the harshest skeptics slowly beginning to recognize Paul as a real, credible boxer.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois. But Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. You know what I'm trying to say? He took an L there. But Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening. It's positioning. It's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face-to-face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's going to fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly going to be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3, because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora. Do you know what I mean? You never know.
Critics argue that Jake Paul's recent choices, most notably his victory over 58-year-old Mike Tyson, reveal a troubling pattern in his boxing journey. To many, stepping in with an aging icon looked less like a test of skill and more like a made-for-TV spectacle, raising real questions about his dedication to the sport itself. Voices like Froch have been especially blunt, dismissing Paul's performance as hollow, insisting that his rise is built more on entertainment value than on any true display of boxing mastery.
Everyone's been wanting to see it happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Whispers are getting louder that Jake Paul could be on a collision course with Anthony Joshua in early 2026, a clash designed for the biggest stage. His manager, Nikisa Badarian, has confirmed that conversations are already underway, with Wembley Stadium and other massive venues on the shortlist. And true to form, Paul hasn't held back, calling out Joshua time and again, boldly insisting he has what it takes to shock the world with an upset of epic
I watched Jake
proportions.
Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake.
Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, has admitted the matchup could deliver staggering attention and financial reward, but critics are quick to fire back, warning that Joshua's legacy could take a serious hit if he shares the ring with Paul, a fighter still seen by many as more showman than true contender. Yet Paul thrives on that very doubt, leaning into the rumors, fueling the headlines, and shaping himself into something unpredictable, a dangerous wild card now hovering on the edges of heavyweight boxing.
You are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Stephen A. Smith has never been shy about blasting Jake Paul's choice of opponents, accusing him of targeting fighters who are either past their prime or not true, top-level boxers. In his eyes, Paul has yet to prove himself against the sport's real elite. Paul fires back by pointing to his efforts to secure a fight with Tommy Fury, claiming Fury ducked him more than once, though when the matchup finally happened in February 2023, it became one of the rare times Jake faced a legitimate, in his prime professional. That night ended with Paul suffering his first and only loss, a split decision that served as a harsh reminder of the gap between boxing's brightest prospects and its biggest entertainers.
When the time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer. But then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.
Will Jake Paul's power overwhelm Gervonta Davis, or will Tank's skill shut down the hype once and for all? Comment your prediction below.
Stephen A. Smith has also taken direct aim at Jake Paul's decision to fight boxing legend Mike Tyson, calling it proof that Paul still isn't testing himself against the right opponents. Smith argues that if Jake is truly serious about carving out a boxing career, he should be stepping in with fighters closer to his own age and level, not chasing seasoned icons whose decades of experience mask the fact that their best fighting years are long behind them. Will Jake Paul's raw power prove too much for Gervonta Davis? Or will Tank's razor-sharp skill silence the noise and expose the hype once and for all?